Let's talk mental health and where we are, episode 3. And it's still the mental health and its impact on relationship. We discussed in our previous episode that is episode 2, the impact of mental health on our relationship. We discussed there are several type of relationship that we get into, we develop over years, and how our mental well-being affects our relationship with each other. And in episode 3, we are going to talk more based on the responses we received, the comments that we received on our mental health impact on relationship episode, which was the previous episode. And we are going to discuss some of the comments that our viewers have shared, and also they want us to discuss. Once again, I will be joined by my very special guest, Anu Vittal, who is a life coach. And I also see that she has been promoting happiness for humanity. And without much ado, I am Trisha Mukhopadhyay, who's going to welcome my special guest, Anu Vittal, on Let's Talk Mental Health. Hi,
Hi,
Anu.
nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Anu. So good to see you. You can see the happiness on my face.
I love the colors.
And
Beautiful.
yes, thank you, thank you. My younger one was saying, "Ma, is it Earth Day today that you are in a sari?" And I said that no, I just felt like wearing a sari, and it's still spring. So, Anu, do you realize that two of us, there is a beautiful relationship we are getting into, and how beautifully it is growing, and the topics that we have taken, we have been talking since since our previous episode, is the mental health and its impact on our relationship. So, Anu, today we got few very good responses, and I see that now I see that there's an engagement going on from our viewers. And in a short while from now, as two of us get into more in the discussion, that we will be sharing comments and remarks from our viewers. So, Anu, you
Fabulous.
are on. Tell me, how is it going for you since the time? This is your favorite topic, right? You have
It
been.
is. It
Yes.
is. And it has been also not because I've always been perfect or successful. It's actually been the opposite. Having failed so many times, fallen on my face, I also like to think of this opportunity as, being that Daruma doll. The Daruma doll is the Japanese doll that has a heavy base. And every time you tip the head, it bobs back up. And so I feel like this is my way and my journey, that every time I bob back up, instead of asking the question, why is this happening to me? I've always asked, what's the lesson in this for me? Not the first few times, but yeah, after scraping my knees and bumping my nose enough times, I realized through all the tears and the pain, this was all necessary to become a better version of myself. So, relationships first with yourself, the most important relationship, and then with those around you. And I like to look at it like the concentric circles. So, you're in the center, you go around, which is your core family, and then the outer circles involve the other caregivers or your parents or your in-laws or your close friends, and then it goes on all the way to your community and your country. And then in Canada, we so believe that we are not responsible just for ourselves, but for the entire series of concentric circles around us. And I oftentimes tell my patients or clients, why don't you just spend 24 hours with yourself and see how you like it? Don't get into a distraction mode. Don't get on the phone or social media or watch a movie. Just spend 24 hours with yourself, eat well, take a nap if you have to, and see how you're feeling when you're doing different things. Just be conscious. There's no judgment. It's just trying to love yourself more.
Very beautiful. I just remember, as you said, concentric circle, that you are at the center. So it all begins with, yes, you. And I remember our Karm Yoga classes, during my yoga lessons from our school. And even it says that the first duty is towards your own self. I have been raised in a society where we have been, as a woman, as a girl child, now a woman, been told always that your happiness lies in others' happiness. And it was completely contrary to what I was learning, that your happiness, everyone else's happiness, is based on if you are happy, if you are able to, if you are in good terms with your own self. And that was very convincing. It did not require any proof or evidence, because we had to go through certain experiments also to try on us as we were studying in that course. And yeah, it did not need any proof, further proof. So it comes back to what you just said. I mean, I can relate so much with what you just said. You are in at the center of the concentric circle. Amazing. This is so beautiful. Anu, should we start with? I'm very excited about how our viewers are responding. And so, one of our viewer writes on from one of the social media platform that I received, that one it's more of a general, because I've heard it so many times, that communication is what we are noticing that it's lacking. Is it that communication is the key to it, as we talk about achieving mental health, well-being and wellness? If we are able to be comfortable with ourselves, does it all start with communication with who? Is it me communicating with myself, or communicating with a trusted someone, or a friend, a family? So is it true that communication is the key?
Absolutely. I think communication with what we call the divine or the universe or the greater force that's outside there is essential in allowing for your own self to be that core of the concentric circle, to be that stabilizing force. Because if you're not okay and if you're not feeling within, because where do we experience everything? Everything that we experience is right here or somewhere here or something within us, right? We don't experience it outside. For example, someone can be having a very difficult experience on the outside, and you can put two or three or 10 people in that same experience, and you'll find each one will be expressing themselves or reacting and responding in a different manner. That is because how their internal, what we like to call it the internal weather. So it's
Mhm.
like describing your weather. We always ask how you're feeling, but when you really were feeling sad and you were able to express it in terms of weather, and you would say, oh, it's a bit cloudy and it's raining,
Mhm.
or it feels sunny and it seems like blue skies, or I feel like a volcano is erupting. It's a really great way to use that as an example to really talk about how you feel. And from that place, you will see that everything around you has a perspective. So, for example, when I think this is a story, I don't remember it accurately, but you spill milk in the morning, and or I think it was their son also spills milk, and he's already upset. He's getting late to go to work. He has to clean this up. He's already in a bad mood, and he starts to the day in reacting in a different manner that spoils the entire day for him, for his child, for whoever. So when you are especially in a difficult situation, and the example I gave earlier, you spend time with yourself, what will come out of you is always going to be what is within you, your basic sanskar, or your most dormant, not dormant, but I guess most dormant feelings do come out later. But I guess what's really up in front of you, right up here, like literally you can't stop that feeling. You have to get it out. It's like you can't be squeezing an orange and saying I want apple juice, right? So
Mhm.
if you are angry, upset, and bitter about something, it could be anything, then that will show up. And fortunately, that will start to also go through the concentric circle, spheres which are the spheres of communication. But if you do know that you can be having a bad day, and I'll be honest, I, funny enough, just before most of our calls had some very serious issues. One time was the bathtub overflowing and having that huge flood,
Mm,
and I could have come to the show very upset and continue that, but that is not the reason why I'm doing it. So allowing yourself through practice to be able to let that feeling escape, and then giving the importance to the person in front of you. Complete. Would you not want that for yourself? But
absolutely.
yeah, so communication is just, that is the beginning and the pretty much the only thing that is needed. Because if you treat yourself just the way you want everyone else to be treated, then you would always be there for them, you would include them, and you would communicate in a lot different manner with
Hmm.
so much more compassion and kindness. Because all of us are going through tough things, we are all having bad days or tough days, and giving that person that communication, which is just literally opening your heart, and without even having to say a word, and saying in your mind for a second, I include you, I give you that importance as a divine being in front of me, just like, like when we do namaste.
Hmm.
And beautiful way to start the communication. So, communication is critical.
So, to add actually on that, this is a very common, not issue, I would say, a situation that I can relate to one of the comments that I have received after we did our two episodes. So one of our viewer writes that. You can't tell how someone or someone is feeling or what battle they are fighting within. You only see what is on the outside. So this happens to be with one of an elderly in a family where one of our one of our friend notices that, mm, here the situation is that the father, who they have always seen as the hero of their lives and always busy with the work that and taking care of the family and the children, but as they are retired now, somehow they felt that something was at amiss from their uh, dad's or the father's side, that the dad who is suddenly kind of ceased to talk or react or behaving in a way like how um, a newcomer to the world would do amongst strangers, um, doing everything that is being told, so acting like in complete obedience. So when this friend of ours noticed that and felt that something was at amiss, and at one of the family events, when their all family get together happened, is when mm, the father opened up about feeling being dejected, being losing all their worth because they are not at um, they're not working, they're retired. So, and that's, before that they had no clue that something of that sort can uh, happen, and due to which their dad was getting completely seizing of his world, which is his family, which is his friends. So, would you say, I believe, Anu, your video is uh, off, but I have noticed that I would. We'll wait for Anu to be back. Anu's video perhaps is not. Anu is back. So, Anu, did you get uh, what I was trying to say on behalf of our viewer who was commenting that it was disheartening to find that there was a turmoil going on in their with their parents' mind, due to which uh, their their father felt that he is of no use anymore. So it's best because he's retired, his importance is lost in the family. So it's best to just give up, kind of surrender. And that was making our viewer, from whose comment I read and I spoke, that their relationship was getting so much affected because they were not talking to each other. And that was not the usual way how, and that's not how their family functions. They're very closely bonded family, but due to this concern that they did not know about it, that what their father was feeling or going through because of his retirement. He felt that,
How old was this person?
so he is they discovered until it's they were celebrating their 80th birthday, so which is like, so all this while for so many years they just thought that that's just part of aging, that you would just go silent and not talk and just kind of surrender. But I'm
It's
glad that
also
that
like that, second childhood that they're going into. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's always, little bit of tantrums that happen at that age, and it's kind of cute, and it's also sometimes very interesting. At the same time, I feel this person was supremely courageous to share and voice that, and I think it's so necessary that the family was open to listening. So that's
Mhm.
kudos to this gentleman that you're talking about.
But he suffered for all these years, and it is not their fault, or they had no clue that something like this could happen. It was only this family function, maybe the 80th birthday celebration, that brought everyone together. And when the father spoke after having suffered for so many years, as he was going through that, he has no worth anymore, he's retired, so there is no importance of his life anymore. So he was surrendering, he was kind of giving up.
Yeah, this kind of suffering is also really, again, going back to that initial thing. Where's the suffering happening? Is anyone really purposefully hurting him or saying mean things? No, it's all happening inside. It's happening within. It's happening here. It's happening here. It's happening throughout the body. And unfortunately, suffering is a choice. And you can go through the same situation and you can either choose to suffer, or I'm not saying that there won't be any pain. Pain is part of the whole process, but the suffering is a choice. So you can either choose to suffer, or you can really ask yourself this question: is what is this teaching me? What am I supposed to learn from it? And how can I get better from this? Because in the end, for example, let me try and give you some. So there's a story of a football coach. I think he's German or Swedish, and he suffered a lot because he always felt worthless, and he didn't have to wait to be 80. He felt it at home, he felt it at work, and he felt it the most when people, even strangers, were rude to him or called him names and cuss words, and he felt so bad. He would be taken aback. He would be, his ego would get crushed. And of course, the ego gets a hit when you hear something negative. But what he did is he said, no, I've got to overcome this. How do I do this? And he wasn't a football coach at that time. He was just working in a regular job, 9 to 5. He decided to volunteer to coach a football team because that was his passion. And the reason he did that is because every time he would go to watch one of these games or coaching sessions, he would hear the worst swear words being said to the referee. And he said, "Oh my God, how does that guy withstand all of this?" And still he's smiling and goes out for a beer with me, after the game, and he just seems to be unaffected. So he joins this team and he gets cussed out like so bad. And he's not just cussed out, he's blamed for the wrong thing that some other player did. If someone kicked the football in the wrong manner or someone else pushed someone, everything was blamed on the referee. So eventually, what happened as these, experiences increased, his shell got harder. But how did it get harder? Because he's realized his ego is just getting a bit of a scratch and a dent and a bit of a hurt, but that doesn't determine who he is. Just because someone calls you an orange, you don't become an orange. You know who you are.
True.
And if I was to give you a $10 note just now, would you take it? Would you? You
$10
would.
note?
If I crushed it into a ball and gave it to you, would you take it?
No.
You would, because the worth doesn't
Okay, if
change.
it's, yeah, it's $10. Okay.
Yeah. I crushed it and literally stamped it, which we don't do in our culture because of and the goddess money. But whatever I did, if I pushed it in the dirt and grind and then gave you the $10, would the $10 lose its worth?
No,
Not
it's
at all.
not at
It,
all.
your worth is your worth. And you know your worth better than anyone else.
Fine.
The problem is the ego. When you were born as a baby, in your mother's womb, you were perfect, perfect at 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. But when you reach about 18 months or so, which is what the psychotherapists and scientists have found out, is when your ego develops the identification with the I. And then they did an experiment. They actually had a small child stand in front of the mirror before the age of 18 months. And the kid was just bobbing around. In fact, went around behind the mirror to look and see who's the other person on the other side. But after the age of 18, they put a small little red dot, and immediately the child touched the dot. So the
Hmm.
identification of the so ego is edging God out, and literally the divinity within you, ego, edging God out. Why would you do that? You are a perfectly divine being, just like the way you were in your mother's womb, and you are so special. And so also is the person in front of you, if you were to look at it like a mirror image, which is why communication and inclusiveness is so necessary. And like your this gentleman you mentioned talked about it, that sharing and communication is so important. Not everybody knows what you want or
Right.
what you're thinking, but saying it before suffering for so many years, would it not have solved the problem that people would have understood and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we never meant to do this. How can we do things to make your life better? What can we do? What can we offer you?" you know and that's again a very important thing. People forget to ask, what can I offer you? People give you things. Oh, if you're sick, oh, let me get you some soup. Maybe you don't want soup. Maybe you want that person to just come and read your book. Maybe you just want that person to let you rant. Maybe you just want some unconditional listening, which allows for your heart to flow easily. And then if you were to ask this question, how can I help you? Or you're so special to me. And again, like I said in our earlier episode about asking people how do they want to be loved. And in one of that, which I think is a pretty much ground rule for every relationship, is to have positive affirmations of saying, I love you, you look beautiful, you're gorgeous. I think your hair looks great. I love what you did for me. I love the food you cooked for me. Just words of affirmation. They should be continuous and come from a place of compassion, compassionate love, and see that if you're suffering, maybe the other person is also going through something. How
Mhm.
about you just keep saying these things? Because one, it'll make you feel better, but it'll also make a world of difference to the other person who may be silent in their suffering.
Anu, you brought in a very, very good point about how it is, how we are asking or how we are communicating. In this case, the I'd love to say our friend, who is also a viewer. In this case, they did have this question whichever way they had been thinking, because they love their parents or their father in this case. And the question was that why is this happening? Something is at amiss. And but they didn't know what was going on. But it is, maybe it could be the family function or whatever, but also on the side of their father, that he decided to just, even if it's a little bit, but share what he was going through. So the point that you brought in is how we are communicating. If I see if I'm in a similar situation, if you come up to me and say that, how can I be of help, or in much simpler way, how can I help you, instead of saying, hey, you should really do some meditation, or you should really go in for a retreat, yoga retreat or something, instead of giving my ideas. Maybe it would work if I am asked, if I'm the one in the shoes of that person who's suffering and who is silent. Maybe I would open up, may not be with words, but maybe I'll feel a bit comfortable hearing that how, oh, this person wants to know what I want,
Yeah.
my way.
In
So
fact, you can actually communicate heart to heart even without words. Your heart, your feeling of love, your vibration of love is so strong that it can actually positively impact 1 million people within a radius of 5 kilometers. And this is science and it's been proven by Dr. David Hawkins. So even if you feel like someone is not communicating, but you think something is wrong, just keep on radiating love to them in your most amazing divine being. And that it's one of the most powerful communications that you can offer. In fact, this is what we should all be doing in today's day and age with karuna, which I call for the C word, which I don't even want to say because it's got such a negative impact. We can just keep on sending karuna or compassionate love to the world, to Ukraine, to people who are out there suffering, and allow for a channel to open so that they can really connect and communicate and be able to heal themselves.
I just realized that I was so excited and engrossed into reading a comment of one of our viewer that I'd kept. I was on mute the whole time, but all I
Only 2 minutes. I was wondering if something was wrong with my.
so all I was saying is that so much of appreciative I feel at this point of time, that this conversation is going in the direction where what actually is our objective through these talks, through these weekly talks, that we build a space, a safe community where we support each other, where we are able to talk about our feelings, we are able to talk about our brain, how our brain feels, how our heart, just like how our heart feels, and just how commonly we would talk about how my foot is at this point of time. So the mental health, the physical health, the emotional health, we are um, we are trying to build a community where we are able to be comfortable to talk about, instead of hiding um, within a self-made hard shell, that that it is very difficult to break in over a period of time. So definitely communicating, and communication, yes, can happen, as you said, heart to heart.
Yeah.
Just
But
being there, just
it,
being there.
absolutely. You communicate. How do you feel things? It's simple. You feel things through your body senses, through your mind senses, and what we call energy or feelings body, which is basically how we are all existing in this world today. E is equal to mc squared. So also each one of us is just a beautiful shining pillar of light or divine energy, and there's nothing really different between us so much as what we see from the exterior as the commonalities that we have areas. So when we are in synchronicity with, for example, nature, we feel such a commune. We feel so comfortable with the ocean, the forest. And if you look there too, there are trees of various kinds, but they're all existing and co-inhabiting in such a perfect harmony. And so even within us, we can feel the same. Most important is to believe that you're not just a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in that drop. So that inclusiveness really brings people to express themselves in the best way possible. And so that's why I'm saying it could be mental, it could be a physical expression, it could just be a thought, which carries an energy wave, which is emotion. And that is powerful. Even if someone millions of miles away, you can just close your eyes literally and send a beautiful positive vibration. And I kid you not, you probably get a phone call or a message, or if you call, reached out, they would say, "Oh, I had such a nice day yesterday, I'm feeling good. I was thinking of you," or something.
Anu, can't hear you. Let's, Anu.
I can hear you. I think
Your
something.
last few sentence could not hear. As you were saying. And in the meantime, I just was checking one of the comment that I would love to read from Sabrina Sundarraj, and she agrees with what we discussed last week about how a parent, um, end of the day, when you said, Anu, that end of the day, it is, we want to see our loved ones to be happy, no matter what. We love them. So we were talking about how a parent, the relationship between the parent and their child, and she also agrees. But also she says that unfortunately the happiness is within the framework that we as parents we have only created. And she also feels that you have really made some pertinent points, and she completely agrees with what you said, how we communicate, maybe a different approach to look at things. And I really appreciate, thank you Sabrina Sundaraj for taking part. And and Anu, I want to share with you that we also have received quite a few topics that our viewers want us to discuss, and one of them being definitely is how the self worth is challenged, which you tried to. This was part of the concern that one of our viewers showed with what situation our viewer found to their father to be in, and their discovery was, um, although it was late, their father suffered for like about more than 10-15 years, but finally it worked out well because of communication. And also the self worth, which is a
Yeah.
big challenge, not just, I don't think it's just around, it's made by COVID or anything, it's always been there. It's just that we do not discuss about these things.
And it's
So
school. I think this should be something that's taught in school. It's not the person who gets the A grades or the B grades or the C grades. It's not the person who wins the race or an award that is the special person. It is every person is special. Everyone is unique and different, and that is what makes them special. And that is what makes them unique. And appreciating that and allowing for your self-worth to shine through as a unique person, not because of something external. It's always something internal, always who you are from within that makes the difference. And everyone is special. And that is something that if people were made to do this in school and taught this, then
Mhm.
their gift would come forth. And their uniqueness and the abilities to shine those unique gifts and share them with the world would also come forth. And that is something that people have such amazing capabilities, such potential within them. We're all multi-dimensional beings, just with limitless potential, who are not really expecting. And sometimes we are pushed into different situations, difficult situations, especially because growth happens not in your comfort zone, but actually in your discomfort zone.
Mhm.
And those opportunities have to be seized by children and the parents in the younger age, or the teachers, to say, it's okay, beta, or it's okay, my love, my son, and it's only a chance for you to do better next time. And then also, as we grow and we get to a teenage rebellious age, and then to the age of 19, which is really when they say that the human soul is fully formed, it's up to you to sort of discipline yourself and parent yourself and say to yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone says to me. I know who I am, I know what I have, and I know what I want to give to this world.
Wow. It is. I I was I was actually thinking in those lines. As we say, yoga came into my life when I was a little girl, so it was part of the curriculum that we used to follow right from early childhood days. And uh, anything of these sort that we prepare, whatever we do now is actually a preparation for how we are going to be in our next moment, right? So how I can relate that it should, as you said, that it should start early is, I remember how we used to be um, taught during our early childhood days that when there is a, how to identify, first of all, at the first place, if something is going on, that how to identify that. And then once we have not every time I can identify, it's our caregivers who are looking out for us, and once they have identified in us, that we go to the next step in communicating with each other, communicating. So learning at mind awareness at a very early age definitely works in building that, or enhancing that ability. We all have the ability to uh, talk about it or take charge of our life. It's just that sometimes we need to be told, most of the times we need to be told. And if it happens at an early age, and the more we talk about it in a family scenario, it always helps. It becomes a little comfortable. And the finest example was today's concern that one of our viewer um, shared with us, with the
Correct.
family. So
I think that's why words of affirmation are so necessary from parents and caregivers at a young age to a child, to allow them to blossom and to know that it's okay if you make a mistake, and know that it's okay that from that mistake you've learned something, instead of being reprimanded or being punished. And sometimes discipline is also necessary, but I like to think that if you look at the story of Cinderella in a different way, if stock self-worth, she could have been very dejected and depressed, thrown into a dungeon and doing all the dirty work and the labor.
mhm.
But she had a sense of confidence within her. She had a sense of self-worth. And probably in her depressive state, she danced around in the kitchen with the brooms and the warm fires to keep her company. And when she actually met the prince, she exuded that. She exuded that confidence. She danced beautifully, and she left her beautiful slipper, glass slipper, and ran away. That's See, so the thing is, it doesn't matter what kind of situation you are in. In the end, she developed those skills to
Mhm.
eventually be the queen of the
We have briefly, I believe it's a brief loss of communication from Anu's side. It's just a technical glitch, but I would once again like to say that I am very very happy to have Anu Vittal as my guest, and I would like my friends um, to check her recently published. She's an author. Her book, which is Happiness for Humanity, it's on Amazon worldwide. Um, I believe Anu is back. Anu, if you can hear, I was sharing about your the recent book that you have published. It is on Amazon worldwide, and her website is anuvittal.in, ANUVITTAL.in, and her Instagram handle is Anu Abstract. Anu Abstract together. Um, I yes, I am. I've been. This episode cannot be completed if I have not thanked our viewers. And thank you very much for all the concerns, the questions, the suggestions, the recommendations of topics that you have been sending that you want to hear. And we would like to hear from you. And as we started talking about the impact of mental health on in our relationship, it could be family relationship, friends, romantic, or teacher student, or work relationship, any kind of relationship. It is how we in our relationship, the impact of mental health. Anu, while you were gone for briefly, you were gone due to technical problem, that I was sharing your book, that yes, I like that. Can you please bring it to the camera so we can see? And now just create happiness by being spiffy. How do you pronounce that? I want
did
you to do that.
did a great job. It's just spiffy as is. And then
Oh, okay.
it's spiffy, but we can talk about it the next time.
Absolutely.
A lovely session with you as always. It's such a joy to be able to spread love in our concentric circles. Thank you so much for your time. And until we meet again next.
Thank you so much, Anu, for your time. I have shared your Instagram handle, your website, anuvittal.in, and also shared your book and where it is available. And as always, Anu, it is always a pleasure. I tell you, I write down so many things every time I see you since 2016 that I met you first. There is always something that is a takeaway, big takeaway for me. And I know that there are more to come as two of us get more busy or busier building our relationship into a beautiful tomorrow. And together, our goal, our objective is to build a community or a safe place where we support each other, where we are able to talk comfortably about our mental health as comfortably as we talk about our physical health. With that, we come to the end of episode 3, impact of mental health on into our relationship. And we will be back again next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. USA, Canada Eastern Time. This is Trisha Mukhopadhyay and Anu Vittal. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.